Just me, or can people hear Peter?
You can hear Peter.
It's just me?
You
We
can't
hear
hear
him.
me?
I can hear Peter.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone else is muted for the most part. So we'll start the meeting at 6:01. And we're missing Joe Pulcini, Mark Bayram, and Jerry Salvio. They will be joining us shortly. At this point, we'd like to call anyone from audience of citizens that wants to speak. I don't see anybody, but we'll put a call out there. Anyone there? Here comes Joe Pulcini. Hearing none, we will close the audience of citizens. Okay. Approval of the minutes from April 22nd. I need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of April 22nd.
Okay. Second. Nancy, second. Discussion, omissions. Nancy, put your, I'll unmute you, Nancy.
I can't do it.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, no, I wanted to add an item to the agenda, so I wanted to make a motion to add the item, an issue with senior men.
That comes after we approve the minutes from last month, but we'll,
Oh, okay.
we'll do that. Okay, so
Sure.
all in favor of the minutes last month, raise your hand so we can all see. Okay, all in favor, good. So moved. Okay, Nancy, now you can make your motion.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda for this meeting. And the issue on an issue with the senior men.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Second.
Jim Norton was seconded.
Okay.
All in favor? Jim, you in favor, Jimmy? Okay.
Yep.
All right, so moved. So we'll add that to the agenda. All right, old business. Does anyone have any old business?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
The markers. Well, but Jerry's not here, so it doesn't really matter. But the
Well, I mean, we could always join when he joins us.
okay. Just the 200 to 150, and the 100-yard markers. What are we going to do with those things? And then that was one. And the other ones, prior to COVID, they had built the little boxes for the tees that people just leave on the course, on the tee box. Remember they said he had built boxes that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, now that realistically, now that everything's opening up, right, and they know that it's not contagious from contact. Can we put something like that back out there? Because there's tees everywhere. It's people banging them into the ground and. And the third thing I would like to well, that's old business. You're right. I can't bring up anything new. That's fine.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mark Bayram is joining us at this point as well. Okay. Any other old business? None? All right. I mean, when and if Jerry comes in, Jim will re-ask that question. Hearing none, since Jerry is not with us yet, new business, can we move Dana to take up Nancy's issue at this point?
Is Mark there?
Mark is here.
Okay. We seem to be having a problem on Tuesdays with the Senior Men's League. It was set up that last year we were supposed to be able to have a tea time at 8:30 and 8:40. And Mark this year has given us 8:35 and 8:45. But the Tuesday group, I don't know if I know that there are still some people that are, because I know who they are, that play both Monday and Tuesday. But I don't know if they have too many people playing on Tuesday. But on Tuesday, what they do is they just all go down and wait at the first tee. And the last group teed off at our time. And what happens is they move very slowly. They wait until the green is empty, completely empty, before they even tee off. And I know they can't hit that far. By the time we got to the fourth hole, there was two groups waiting behind them. By the time we got to the sixth hole, there was three groups waiting behind them. Now, we didn't have any 18 holers on this week because of aeration. But when you do, that's going to cause a problem. And so I'm just wondering, is there any way to find out, are those two groups balanced with the same number at each day? Or is Tuesday really having a lot more than that? And what can we do about it? Because I'd like to see that corrected because it wasn't a problem last year. Anybody?
I personally can't answer to that because I don't know. I'm not there, so I don't know what happens.
Mark?
I mean, we could just try to police it the best we can, I guess. I mean, do we want to force the seniors to have starting times? Like the Lady Niners do? We suggested that a few years ago, and I mean, we met, and it was decided not to do that. And then they agreed to give the ladies 2 tea times on their back end. I mean, I kind of want to be careful here because they in the old days they had that whole block and they may ask for that again.
But
That would be my fear.
But we know, Mark, that in the old days, what they did was they had the block of time and they would just come whenever they wanted. And there was empty tea times throughout that block of time. And I don't think you want that. I mean, that's not going to be very efficient. If they had tea times, you would be able to see, how much they need.
Can you educate the rest of us on the current policy? I have no idea what the current protocol is. I don't.
There's really no policy. They have a 2-hour block of tea times.
Okay, that's it then.
And they basically are first come, first served as a league with that block of times. There's no structure unless they have a tournament. It's kind of just show up and go.
And what is their block of time? From what time to what time?
6:45 to 8:25 now. But it used to be 6:45 to 8:45.
So it sounds like they're going beyond their block.
Yes.
I mean, I know what the answer is. The answer is to have them structure it so they know who's playing and when. That's the answer. I tried to recommend that 4 or 5 years ago and we all met and, Jonathan was there at the time and it was decided that they were going to let them continue to do it the way they were doing it because they made a fuss about it.
But you're the boss. I don't know why.
Well, Jerry's the boss, technically.
Okay,
I'm just a contractor.
But I don't know why you can't just say, everybody else is told this is the way it is. Why can't they be told this is the way it has to be?
I mean, I think that's something Jerry has to decide. Just, I'll do whatever's asked. I know what the right decision is, but I mean, again, I didn't have the backing in the past when I recommended it. So, if Jerry's willing to sit down with them and do it and sit down and say you need to have starting times, then we'll enforce it.
Okay, thank you.
I think Jerry's trying to come in, so he just texted me. So
Is it a matter that they need instead of their block going to 8:25, does it need to go to 8:35? And could the ladies do the next 2 tea times? I don't know if that's
That could interfere with the 18 holers crossing over.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
They're just all 9 holes only.
Is there representation, Peter, for the senior men's?
well, that the president of the senior men's club said that he was going to attend every meeting so that he can be informed and kind of see what's going on, but he's
Okay.
not here. He's not here.
Thank you.
Mark, do you think I should talk with Jerry about this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, okay, well then I'll do that. I'll meet with him.
I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it structured like every other organization. I mean, the men's, the women's, the Lady Niners, they all know who's playing and when, at what times.
And we do that.
Be
because-
much more organized if it was structured that way.
Yeah, we do that and we let you know ahead of time. because if there's any openings, you know, if you can schedule other people that are open, that's only fair to you.
Yeah, I would love to see it. You know, I think Jerry needs to maybe sit down with the senior club and discuss this. It's got my support. I mean, I definitely would love to see more structure for sure.
I'll meet with Jerry.
Yeah, he's having a problem getting in. So, I asked him to give if there's a major problem, just call in. At least we'll have his audio.
Do you want to go with the donation request and then give Jerry another minute to get in?
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have those donation requests in front of you?
Rafini, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's only one.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
Does anyone know if there's a Berlin affiliation with it?
I don't think
I
so.
don't.
I don't.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Did they ever submit in the past to us, or is this first time? Does anybody know?
No idea.
Okay. Mark, did it ring a bell at all?
Is this Rufino or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I don't recognize it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Jim, are you going to vote, or Jim Green? Are you opposed? Okay. Opposed, unanimous.
No, Pulcini, Joe, you
Joe.
voted in favor of it?
Joe in favor. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks, Joe. So Joe Pulcini in favor.
And- Peter,
Jerry,
can I-
are you on the line now?
I am, Pete. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, very good.
All
Peter,
right.
can I interject something real quick?
Yes.
Joe, we, as a committee, made a decision that there's no Berlin affiliation with this, unless there's some underlying reason, we don't, usually go forward with it. Just a heads up,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Because everybody and their brother will be asking us for these things.
Understood. Fair enough.
Hey, Jerry,
Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
go
Yeah.
back to old business now, because now you
Okay.
are on the line.
Yeah.
Jim Norton had a question about the yardage markers.
Yep. Well, as I explained in the last meeting, the whites are getting broken. So I've started painting the red, and I'm almost through with the red markers, replacing the red, which I painted white, for the white markers. So again, I've got maybe 2 or 3 red left, and then I'll start painting the blue ones. I'm not buying any more markers. I'm not.
Are we gonna do anything for 100 or 200 or anything like that?
I mean, it's something, if you want to explore something that's, flush with the finished grade, I would be agreeable to that. But unfortunately, these sticks or plastic markers are getting broken. I don't want to use the word vandalized, but they're getting broken, and, they're not cheap. And it would be quite expensive to keep up with the breakage. So again, I guess to answer your question, if we want to do something that's flush mounted, that's fine, and I will look into that for the 1 and 200.
Hey, Jerry, a lot of courses just put a form in there and then pour in some Quickcrete and paint that. I mean,
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, that's
even if
that's doable.
even if it's like a 12-inch circle or something, at least it's a visual marker. And
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully I can hit it when I drive the ball and gain another 30. But
Well, that would mean you'd have to be in the fairway though, Pete.
that's true. Touche.
But no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you could do that. But when you look at the cost, it may just be cheaper to go purchase the flush mounted marker as opposed to a form, buying the Quickcrete, mixing it, and putting it in the little 12-inch square or circle.
Okay.
Hey,
But I'll
Peter,
look into it. We'll look at it both ways. We'll look at it both ways. How's that?
Perfect. Go ahead, Seb.
I noticed that some of those markers are still out there, the 200, the 100. They're flush to the surface. They're just covered over with grass.
That's true, Seb. Some are still out there. That is correct. Yeah. I mean,
matter of fact,
I'd rather, if we want to just cut around them and repaint them, that's very acceptable to me. It'd save us some money.
yeah, why not? They're
Yeah.
out there.
Some of them are broken over time.
Yeah.
They've broken, and those we can replace. But you're right, Seb. There are a fair number that are still out there. And
Yeah.
again, I would love to expose them, and then we'll get a count as to the ones that are broken, and we'll replace them. That works for me.
And Jerry, no way a volunteer can take that on if they sign a waiver for liability, right?
You know the story, Pete. I'll double check with Arosh and see, what his take is. I wish we could. I really do.
Yeah.
But let me just double check with Arosh. I don't want to overstep my bounds.
Yep. No, that's fair enough.
A comment.
Gail? Yep.
I mean, I think, we as a commission put out our goal, which is to have yardage markers. How it's executed, I think is Jerry's job. We tell him this is what we want, how he gets it done. It's up to him to figure it out.
Okay. Now we can go back to item 1 under new business.
No, you have the boxes, the
The who?
T box.
Oh, yeah. Jerry, also, Jim brought up a few years ago before this, we used to have these broken tee boxes on the
Yes.
at least on the par threes anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Do we still have those boxes?
No, they were all destroyed by players, golfers. They were all destroyed. They were smashed.
I thought you guys prior to COVID, you guys were over that winter of 19 to 20 before COVID hit. You guys, if I'm not mistaken, back in the notes, you said you rebuilt those and we're going to put them out.
No, I mean, we may have one or two. There may be one or two floating around, but they just smashed them. And it just they break everything. I mean, they're not cheap to buy. I mean, we built just some chicken wire and some PVC board. If you want me to build 4, I'll be happy to build 4. If you want me to build 6, I'll build 6. But once they get smashed, I'm not going to keep doing it. I'm not. If people can't behave, then I'll be damned if I'm going to waste my time.
Go ahead, Jim.
That brings up, an interesting comment that you just said, that people can't behave, because this past weekend, evidently there was some damage to the course by a golfer, and I don't know, what are you going to win? 2 dozen golf balls? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So as a commission, I think at some point we need to address some of that too. Also, and it's actually vandalism of property for the town, and then you guys have to repair it, correct?
That's correct. I went in Saturday night and repaired it. Correct. Yeah. And I did have a conversation with Mr. Kennedy, the president of the men's club. We had a nice conversation, and I was very blunt with him. And I said, Mr. Kennedy, what bothers me, it's bad enough that the damage was done, but what really bothers me is the fact that nobody came forward and admitted to it. And that doesn't sit well with me. Now, we all make mistakes. And if you made a mistake, no problem. Come in, tell Mark, hey, Mark, I screwed up. I was upset. I took a swing and I accidentally hit the green and I took a divot out. Okay, no problem. But when you do something like that and you don't tell anybody, and it's not just the individual, he had me playing with 3 others, and they don't say anything, I got a problem. I got a big problem. You could do a lot of things. Don't lie to me. Don't do that. No. And don't try and, get away with something. It would go much, much further with me if you just make a mistake and you tell me, we'll fix it and we'll move on. But don't try and hide it. Because now that leaves a very bad taste in my mouth.
Sounds like a code of conduct issue.
I think there's a policy on that too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why I said that.
You know, unfortunately, we don't know who the individual is. We can't say for sure it was, Jerry Salvio. We can't say that. We may have a good idea, or they may have a good idea as to who the person may be, but you can't go out there and say, well, you know what, Joe Smith, it was you, and he'll say it wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's a difficult situation to be in.
Sure.
Again, I just wish that the individual just, fessed up and came into the shop or whatever, told, somebody, and we would have moved on. We had to fix it regardless. So again, the fact that nobody, including the other three that were in the group, said it didn't say anything, that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't.
Jerry,
And I'll tell you one thing, if it continues, there are going to be repercussions. There are.
Jerry.
Yes. Yeah.
Joe told you that the men's club is going to levy some sort of suspension on that individual and everything else, right?
No, when I spoke with Joe, he said he couldn't positively identify the individual. He came out and said it.
When did you speak to Joe?
Today's
Yesterday.
Thursday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Yesterday or Tuesday.
We have a feeling we know who it is.
Okay.
So at our next meeting, we're going to decide what to do about that as a men's club, because that is absolutely now that was a mistake. That wasn't intentional.
Of course.
But you're absolutely right. This could have all been water under the bridge if they just fessed up, and they didn't. So we don't take that lightly either. It took Mark to bring it to our attention. I wasn't there this weekend, so I don't know exactly what happened, but you're right. As soon as that happened, something should have been said, and it wasn't. But I know that the men's club is going to deal with it as a board. The board of the men's club.
Yeah, and I kind of figured they would handle it. They would handle it internally. Joe was wonderful. He apologized. He himself said it was unacceptable, and whatever they decide to do, if they do find the person or they are able to identify the person, that's good, but and hopefully they do levy some type of, I don't want to use the word punishment, but some type of do something with this guy. Again, I understand it was a mistake. There's no way it was intentional. There's no way. But,
Peter,
and that's fine.
Since we actually do have a policy on the code of conduct, maybe to share that with the men's club.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Do that. Okay. Anything else before we move on? Okay. All right. The establish and review Timberland Golf Course policy and procedures. Did everyone get the stuff that Gail sent out?
Excuse me, Peter.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you want to revisit the new item, which was about Nancy?
Oh, we could.
Just because Jerry wasn't here for it?
We could. Jerry, Nancy has an issue with the senior men, and she's just going to explain to you what's going on, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead, Nancy. Hold on, Nancy. Go ahead.
Okay. Jerry, the senior men on Tuesday, I don't know if there's more of them, but I also know that some of the Monday people are still playing both days. What happened was that they go and there were two groups down by the first tee. And by the time that they teed off, they ended up using our tee time. They move very slowly. They stand there and wait for the green to be empty before they hit, no matter what. And I know they can't hit that far. By the time we got to the fourth hole, there was 2 groups waiting behind them. And by the time we got to the city hall, there was 3 groups waiting behind them. This is going to cause a problem for the 18 holers. This week they didn't have that, but because of the crossover. And I think there seems to be more seniors playing on Tuesday than on Monday. So I'm wondering if they can balance off those 2 groups so that there's an equal number, or if it's the people that are playing both days, then they need to do something about that too.
I think, Nancy, that's a question for Mark. He'd be better. What does Ned Lamont say? Josh, you want to handle this one? But yeah, Mark, if you want to chime in and speak to Nancy's concerns.
Well, he referred me to you.
Jerry,
Well,
Jerry, let me give you a little backstory. So
Okay.
about 4 or 5 years ago, I recommended that the senior men have starting times like all the other organizations, that it's just more structured. We know who's playing and when, we know what's open. So we sat down with their board, John Zook and I, and their board, and it was decided that we're going to just continue doing things the way we were, which is pretty much show up at your leisure and play whenever during your 2-hour block. So
Okay.
they were willing to give up last year with their back end starting times so the Lady Niners could play. And obviously it's becoming an issue again. So again, I'll recommend that we structure it with starting times, but I think Jerry, it needs to have your backing. I think you might have to have a meeting with like the senior men. I'd be happy to sit in on it. And we need to maybe both support this recommendation.
That sounds good. You and I will get together. We'll get them together, and we'll hash this out. But we can't, have them doing what they're doing. We can't have, a backup of 2 groups, 3 groups. We can't do that. That's not going to work. So, yeah, Mark, you and I will talk, and we'll get together with them, and we'll figure this out. But it can't continue this way.
I think what's happening is, so they have designated Monday players and Tuesday players, and we we don't really know who's who or what's what, and they just kind of all pile up on the tee. I'm sure you've seen it, and go out. So I think they're just stacking the front 9 or the back, wherever they're playing, with their players from both Monday and Tuesday. I'm assuming. I don't know for a fact, but
I do. I know at least one group that went out both days.
so there you have it.
Mhm.
So I think that if they could just provide us with starting times, who's playing and when, every week, like every other club does, then we would have no issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just, I'm
not
just going to
rocket.
tell you, it's going to be an uphill battle, but we need to work together on that one,
Absolutely.
because they're going to fight
Absolutely.
back on that one for sure.
You know what? Oh well.
I mean, the way I look at it is every other organization does it, so they should be no different. They should do it too. If it's more work on somebody on their board's part, then so be it. But every other club has a board that does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. No problem. That's what we'll do. I'll get together. Let's get together and let's get them in the same room, and let's tell them the way it's going to be.
Right.
That's the way it's going to be.
That's right.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Okay. Policies. Did everyone get what Gail sent out? She did quite a bit of work to gather all that info. Thank you for that, Gail. Gail, you know what? I'll let you want to take some of this and start it off?
Yeah, so I actually would look to Jerry maybe to tell us which of the current policies, I don't know if he's had a chance to review them, that are, he's comfortable with, in his role now, the way they're written, or if we need to revise them. And then if there are any policies that we don't have, is there, a policy that he would like to see the commission develop?
Well, when I did a little research myself, it was interesting in that you had some policies that were written back in 2003. Then you had some more policies, I don't know if they updated or that were written a couple years later and
Correct.
4 and 5. So again, there's really no cohesiveness here. It seems like they were kind of making it up as they went along. But to answer your question, because hopefully it doesn't come up, but it has come up in the past couple of years, I know, is with regards to a refund policy. People have different issues, whether they be medical or whatever it may be, and having had the ability to sit in on when we were under Parks and Rec and now under the Golf Commission, it was like, okay, John Smith needs a refund. And okay, well, what do we do? Well, how many times did he play? Well, he played this many times and he paid this for the pass. So this minus that equals that, or we're not going to refund him at all. I've heard that too. So I personally think when it comes to a refund policy, it gets prorated. And at some point you reach a point of no return. And to me, that point of no return is say July 1. I really don't care what happens after July 1. You have a hip replaced, a knee replaced, or whatever. But if you've played on that pass from, let's just say April 1 to July 1, and here it is August 1, and now you want a refund, no, that's not going to happen. You know what? You hit that magic point of July 1, and we're done. You're not getting a refund. Between April 1 and July 1, we prorate it. So whatever that means in April, or if you want to get out on May 1, you're going to get this much back. You want to get out June 1, you're going to get that much back. And that's, to me, very important. I want something that we can refer to so it's fair to everyone. You're not going to say, well, we're going to do this for Joe, but we're not going to do this for John. I don't want to work that way.
No, and actually,
saying?
I think that was one of the reasons if in the packet, and maybe it needs to be revised, that we did July of 2020, so it wasn't all that long ago. We did have a season pass and refund policy. And I know we did speak about after a certain point. So maybe just taking that, and I'm in agreement with you, after a certain point, so be it. So maybe just taking the current policy and revising it.
I'm not in favor of a refund anytime if it's just because they couldn't get a tee time though. So that has to be refined, because if it's a medical condition, that's one thing.
Well,
But
that's what it
if
says.
they signed up, but I'm just saying we have to make that absolutely perfectly clear, because we did too many because they couldn't get a tee time because they didn't, it wasn't stated. Well, our documentation clearly states now that tee times are not guaranteed and you're on your own to get them. So, I don't care if it's April or May. I don't think anybody should get a refund based on their expectations were A, but they're presented with B. Sebi, yep.
Yeah, Peter, I went through the document and I'm looking at some of the documents here. Some of the information that's out here is so outdated that, we really need to, for example, I'll give you an example. Shotgun starts have significant economic impact on the course and are not permitted. All right.
Well, just to be clear, I went back, that's no longer a policy because that was 2003. So I did not research to find out when that policy changed because they did a pilot. So I guess my thought would be to focus on the policies that we as a council did in the past, since we were as a council. Some of those stuff was very old. And that was the cart damage policy, the code of conduct policy, the handicap flag policy, the tent rental policy, and then the refund policy.
But Gail, if we're gonna look at this, we should look at everything and come up with a policy, because somebody might come back and says, hey, wait a minute, you got a policy out here that no shotgun starts, all right, 2003. I didn't see anything in the documentation saying otherwise. All right, so, I think we've got to go back and either indicate in the documentation that some of these, policies and procedures are outdated and don't no longer exist. All right. But we should have something, because somebody could challenge us on this. The other thing it says here too is that leagues will not have any starting times. Well, that's wrong. Leagues do have starting times.
I
And-
hear
and
what
this-
you're saying,
and
but I
then-
think as a commission, we can only be responsible from our inception forward. If you want to go back and read through all those minutes for 10 years and try to figure all that out, I think we should take accountability from the day we assumed our roles as a commission forward.
Then I think we should state that in the write-up in the policy procedures, that this policy and procedures that we have, all right, are as of June, 2017, when we were established.
Sure,
All
I
right.
think that's
Anything-
fine.
Anything prior to that, it doesn't exist anymore.
I think that's a good way to cover it. I
Yeah.
think that's a good way to document that.
All right, thank you.
Well, let's just start with one. Let's start with the refund policy. Let's take one at a time. Let's start there.
Okay, should I read it? Have people read it? Do you want to share it on your screen, Peter? How do we want to proceed? Are we going to do this now? We can.
I mean, this is gonna be a work in progress. So let's just tackle one and let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. We got to start somewhere. So let's start there, because hopefully it doesn't come up this year. But if it does, let's just have something. Let's start somewhere.
Okay, so do people have the policy in front of them? Do you want to share it? Do you want me to read it? How do we want to go?
Read it, Gail.
Okay. So this is season pass credit. A credit can be issued if an individual develops, I'm not going to read the whole thing, and then we can go back and edit it, because I think we have a good base here. I think it needs some tweaking. Credit can be issued if an individual develops a medical condition that prevents him or her from playing golf for the remainder of the season. So that's a season pass credit. A credit, that's a credit. And I don't know if we spell out what that exactly means. A refund can be issued if an individual develops a medical condition that will prevent her or him from playing golf on a permanent basis. Requesting a credit or refund, golfers must submit a written request explaining their circumstances. This request must also include medical certification from their treating physician substantiating the request. These documents should be submitted to the Director of Golf for processing and approval through Town Council. Any exception to this refund policy will be made at the sole discretion of the Town Council and must be based upon hardship or other good cause demonstrated by the golfer. Credits and refunds will be calculated as follows. The amount of the credit or refund will be based on the cash value of the season pass minus any rounds of golf played based on age and resident category. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, that's how you determine the rate. I get it. Golf credits are non-transferable and can only be used by the individual golfer as credit towards a season pass for the next available golf season. All requests for credit or refund will be charged a 10% processing fee based on the amount of the credit or refund, and there's a minimum and maximum. Refunds or credits may take up to 4 to 6 weeks to process. Refund checks will be distributed via U.S. Postal Service. Credit card refunds will be applied to the original credit card once.
Gail, could you read this section of non-medical, of like hardships or other at our discretion?
Any exceptions to this refund policy will be made at the sole discretion of the Town Council and must be based upon hardship or other good cause demonstrated by the golfer.
Okay, so we have no say in that, according to that policy.
according to this policy, but I think that's what got us a little in trouble, if you will, because I think as a commission, there was a case, I don't remember the details where, and I think it was a tea time kind of issue, that the person wanted a refund, and I think most of us, again, I'm vaguely remembering this, most of us felt they shouldn't get it because it's a chance you take that you may or may not get the tea times you want. And it allows the council to kind of override that, which,
I think that paragraph should be taken out. Personally, it's either medical condition or not. And
yeah, I tend to
and-
agree with you. And I also agree, and we did talk about this at one meeting in which after a certain, and Jerry mentioned it, after a certain point in the season, that's it. I mean, and I think it should be well into the season, God forbid you break your hip on, August, but the season's, it's almost over. And for us to be prorating and somebody sit down to figure out all those refunds I think we should pick a date by which a credit would not be issued. And,
all
I
right,
would
Jim,
agree.
Jim,
We,
Norton.
we did discuss this.
Yeah, we did.
And we did, and I know that Jonathan did this because I was in the process of writing policies at work. And I did this for Jonathan. So, July 1st was the date. We talked about August, and then it ended up being July 1st. And I think we can all agree upon this. So, I don't know what happened, and I tried to look back again to see I never had the final policies, but I know we did this.
I believe
You're
we
right.
did too.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So where are these policies? Are they on
Well-
Jonathan's computer?
Well,
No, the actual ones that we did and we agreed upon.
well, I think they might have been, I think, again, a lot of things were in the minutes perhaps, because you're right, we had this discussion. I'm sure it's in the minutes. But did it ever get incorporated into this policy that we did?
But we rewrote the policies, Gail. I mean, and that was the whole thing with Jonathan. We rewrote the policy itself
Yeah.
because there were errors in it. And I had to edit it for him. I mean, I don't know, it is what it is, but
I don't know where it is. So
Good.
that's why all I have is what I sent out.
okay.
I don't
Well, Jim, here's the thing. You guys are going to make your changes, and once you come up with the final draft, I then take it to council. Council reviews it, and they say yay or nay.
Correct.
Whether it's a formality.
And then he never went to council. And that's probably what happened.
That's not the correct procedure. The correct procedure is you guys do what you want to do. I write it up, and then I take it to council and present it to council. Council's okay, looks good, sounds good. You're good to go. And then now it becomes policy.
Sure.
Right now, it's just a recommendation, or would be a recommendation
Yeah,
until
I
council signs off on it.
I think sometimes that happened, Jerry, and sometimes it didn't. And frankly, we didn't know. I mean, when I look through town council minutes, and I've been at town council meetings where they have supported the policy. So,
Sure.
and that's why I think let's do the policies and you can take them all, to town council.
And then I'll take them, and then that's the correct way of doing things, and that's what we're gonna do.
Some were done that way.
We should have a booklet, a policy booklet, so everything is all together in one
We
place.
will. We will, Nancy. We will. We will.
Gail, while we're on the subject of this, on the application for a season pass, I would like to see a check mark that says I have read and agree to the policies regarding season passes. We can have that policy on hand in the golf shop, or we can point to a website that has that particular policy. This way here, no one can say anything that they didn't know, blah, 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 blah. And that should also include that you're on your own for tea times and everything else. So
And they can be on the website too, right? Once it goes through the process.
we have to make sure that they check and initial that they have read and signed off on the policies. And this way here, we should never have to deal with that again.
Right, I agree. So regarding the refund policy, what, I agree, I think we should take out the paragraph about the hardship part. These documents should be submitted, who would they submit them to? The director of golf, interim director of golf? What should be the right wording there?
Yeah, put
Would
director
be,
of golf.
would be, no, it would be I'm interim. I'm not
Yeah,
director
but
of golf.
this is a policy going forward. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
it'd be
Yeah, okay.
the
You're
director of
correct.
golf or their, you know, whoever's representing that person at any point.
Or
in time.
delegate?
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. Jim. You're right. Yep.
Okay, and do we want to, and do we?
You want a date in
We
there
talk
too,
about
yeah.
a date. Do we
Yeah.
just want to say no refunds or credits are given after?
July 1st. Of the season that the pass is purchased. Or.
Come on, commissioners. I vote for July 1, not vote.
Yeah, no, we
I
agree.
thought we
No,
already
I think we
vote.
all agree. We
We
agree.
all agree
agreed
on
on
that one.
July
That was it. Was it?
I'm not using the word vote. I would.
July
recommend July
1st.
July 1st.
We did talk about this, Jerry. We talked about this last year. It just never
Okay.
really got solidified.
Does everybody agree
Oh.
with July? Does anybody not agree with July 1st? Easier. So then we're all in agreement with July 1st.
Mhm.
That's kind of like a vote.
Okay.
It's
But
good.
other than
It's
that,
good.
Yeah, so July 1. I think
so
we-
again,
I
you
mean,
get
we
a
did
credit.
vote on that. We voted on that in minutes
Thank you.
anyway.
We
I
did.
thought we did
Peter, we
too.
did. You're right.
Yeah, we
So you
did.
get a credit for a medical condition if it's prior to July 1st, based on the formula we just said.
Well, unless it's permanent. You see, we
And
gotta-
that's
you
why
gotta-
I was getting there. Then you get a refund if it's permanent.
But what's permanent? They'll never play golf again, or they're gonna
That's what
not
said-
play
well,
golf?
Well, that happened, Peter. Remember there was an individual,
Somebody has a stroke.
but
Right.
was it Harry?
Harry,
Somebody had a stroke on
Remember that, Peter?
April
Peter,
1st.
remember that?
They're bedridden.
One at a time, please.
Pardon.
Go ahead, Jim.
I think it was Peter, not Peter, pardon. Harry.
Harry Carling.
Yeah. Right? Was that he couldn't play anymore. We just, and we said, listen, it's done. He got to a certain point that he's not gonna ever play again.
Okay, so it's not for the season. It is for permanent forever.
That's how we kind of looked at
Okay.
that.
Well, that's what permanent means. So I
Well,
just wanna
because season
clarify
could
the
be,
word
I
permanent.
broke my hip or my,
But that would also apply July 1. So if you have your stroke on August 1st,
oh,
you're
well.
not gonna play again, but you're not getting,
Mhm.
you're not gonna get, September, October, you're not gonna get the rest of the year either.
right.
Right. That's the point of no return, July 1. Don't care what the reason is. You reach the point of no return.
Right.
Get well soon.
Okay. So that's that policy. So we'll tackle one policy per meeting.
No. Let's not. Okay. Well, let's continue. So now let's assume the season starts April 1. So from April 1 to May 1, what do we want to do? Do we want to give them 50%? Do we want to give them 40? Do we want to give them 10? What do you want to do?
Jerry, I would prorate it based on the rounds that they play.
That's what this says. I mean, we have a policy. It
Okay.
says all requests of refunds will be
Okay.
charged. It says the amount of the credit will be based on the cash value minus any rounds played.
Okay.
So, and then it says they're not, and then if it's an actual if it's an actual credit for the next year, like again, you broke your hip on April 1st, you can't pay the rest of this year, but you're gonna get a credit for next year. But it's not transferable, only used by the individual golfer as a credit towards the next season. You can't wait for a year and then get it the following year. I mean, I think this is a pretty good policy.
Mhm.
We get to 10% processing fee.
Okay. So we're all good with this policy?
Yes.
Peter, I have a question.
Absolutely. Joe, go for it.
So, so listening to the discussion, start time of the season changes year to year. And we try to keep it
Mhm.
consistently around the same time. Likewise, the end of the season changes from year to year. If someone buys a season's pass and shows up May 15th with, a broken kneecap, let's say, God forbid, how do we calculate how much money they would get back as either a credit or a refund?
Depending on the number of rounds that they've played. So if they didn't play any rounds at all,
Right.
I think they get everything back, right?
But if they,
If they played like 10 rounds and they're a resident, they would get the resident rate per round, and that would be deducted from the season pass.
so if the person, and I'm just putting this out there, if they show up and they played between beginning of April and the middle of June, they played 35 rounds of golf.
Yep,
And I know that's a lot of golf.
sure is.
Hopefully I'll get there someday.
Attaboy.
That to me, how much do they get back if they've played that much golf? I
Well,
mean,
they won't get much back with 34 for 35 rounds. What is if they, let's say they're a
Break even.
resident, right? And a resident 18 is what, Mark? No cart.
$32.
Okay, so 35 times 32, if they're an unlimited player, they'll get a few $100 back.
a
If
few $100 back and
if they're
that's
an
it.
unlimited, if they're an unlimited senior, they don't get anything back.
Yeah.
Because it's all deducted from the past minus.
Makes
round
sense to
value.
me. Thank you.
You need a new hat, by the way, Joe.
Oh, that's a good hat.
No, it's not.
Oh, please.
Listen, my wife is the Yankees fan. I'm a
Yeah.
Red Sox fan. It makes
Put
for
her
an
on.
interesting season.
Put her on there.
Great game last night. Peter, can I make a suggestion that we do another one? Try the code of conduct also.
Yeah,
Just doing one a month or one per.
Do you want to do that tonight?
Yeah, yeah.
I make a motion that we revise our current policy on season pass credits and refunds. I will type up those changes and Jerry can present that at the next board meeting.
Can we do another one?
Yeah, I was just gonna do one at a time in case we-
Whatever an easier one is, just,
I was just doing
breadcrumbs,
one at a time to get it done.
Do we have a second on that motion okay, Joe Pulcini seconds. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor by a raise of hands? Okay, everyone, thank you. So moved. Okay, Dana's coming in and out. I don't know what's going on with Dana. But, so we're recording anyway. All right, next, you want to do the code of conduct policy?
Whatever's the easiest. That's the one I have up in front of me. So,
All right,
and
can
that
you
looks like
read
it was
that, Jim?
dated July 1st, 2018.
Jim, why don't you read that?
You sure you want me to read?
What's that?
You sure you want me to read this?
Yeah.
Timberland Code of Conduct. This is dated July 1st, 2018. Timberland Golf Club expects a certain standard of behavior from golfers that reflects the basic requirements of sportsmanship, integrity, courtesy, and respect to be shown to all the golfers, competitors, employees, and the general public. Examples of conduct likely to reflect unfavorably on the game include the following: ill-mannered behavior, club throwing, foul language, and abusive language, failure to adhere to the rules and etiquette of the golf game, unsportsmanlike conduct, and unnecessary gamesmanship. I'm not sure where that comes to. Improper treatment of equipment, use of club other than within the intentions of the game, e.g., damaging tee markers with clubs. I'm sorry. Any serious misuse of alcohol on the course or clubhouse. Any use of illegal drugs on the course or clubhouse. Or in the sexual harassment, verbal harassment, or hostile treatment of anyone at the course and or threatening behavior toward a player, employee, or the general public. A person engaging in any of the behavior that may be detrimental to the game of golf, Timberland Golf Club, or its employees is in breach of the code of conduct and should be reported immediately to the golf professional and or director of golf, or their designee is what we're gonna have to put in there. Yeah, make note of that one, right? Director of golf or their designee. An incident report detailing the occurrence will be completed by the head golf professional, delivered to the director of golf via scanned email along with a hard copy. Director of golf will oversee any complaints and will conduct an investigation to the related incident. Following progressive steps will be taken to address violations of the code of conduct. Verbal warning issued by the director of golf with notice on file. Written warning issued to the golfer from the director of golf. 1 week suspension of golf privileges by the director of golf through written notification. Now, that says GC meeting, that would have been on 7/5/18. Discussions.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind right now is we had an incident last year where somebody blatantly stole a golf cart, and that's according to that policy, they should they should be that should have been handled under that code of conduct, but instead there's a legal issue going on, and it looks like come to Timberland and we'll pay you. Because they're settled. I think that's going to be settled. But how do you enforce this? That's the number one thing. How do you enforce it?
Well, I think an example that you have right now, you have someone who did something to a green, it damaged it, they didn't own up to it. And I think this policy allows you to, at a minimum, have a verbal warning and maybe even a week suspension of golf privileges. I mean, I mean, right here, it's really up to the director of golf to make the way it's been left.
Well, let me chime in if you don't mind. So let's just go back to the incident that occurred over the weekend. I mean, it's going to get handled internally by the men's club, but I would like to also, if we ever do identify the individual, I think we kind of tick off steps 1 and 2, or I'm willing to tick off steps 1 and 2 in that I'll speak to the individual as well as issue him a written warning. Okay. And I'll make him, aware of that, in that if it happens again, you're going to be looking at up to a week suspension. I'd like to, in this case, kind of combine step, or bullets 1 and 2, and kind of, I don't want to say set an example, but set an example. This is not acceptable.
Right.
We're not doing this, because if we let it slide, like so many other things, it's just going to continue to happen. And again, I know everybody makes mistakes, but you got to nip it in the bud. I'm sorry. And once the word gets out that we're not going to put up with this, I hope things get a little bit better. Not that things are bad now, because they're not. The patrons at Timberland are wonderful, wonderful people. They truly are. So I would like to, in this instance, I like what I'm seeing here, the 3 bullets, up to a 1 week suspension once you hit the 3rd. But in this case, because of the fact that it wasn't reported, and again, if he reported it, it would have just been the verbal warning. He didn't report it. I want to do both. But aside from that, I kind of like what I see.
Shouldn't something
I'm
be
sorry?
shouldn't something be said that indicates that the degree of consequences is based on at the discretion of the director of golf? Because they may think they're going to get the 1st or the 2nd or the 3rd, but depending on what happens, you do have to sometimes go all the way to the 3rd.
I think so. We could say the following progressive steps may be taken.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah,
may. They
yeah.
may be taken progressively, or they may skip right to number 3.
Yeah, and they will be responsible from a monetary standpoint if the damage they do or cause, equates to a dollar figure. They're paying for it.
Yeah, we can put that in.
Would you,
If we see somebody take a club and whack a white 150 stick, and it gets reported, and I come flying out, or Mark comes flying out, you know what? You owe me $40. You know, again,
And Jerry, once we decide on the code of conduct, I think a copy should go to all the organizations
Right.
that play Timberland, the men's club, ladies,
Yeah.
seniors, leagues. And then we should probably post it too somewhere in the clubhouse
Mhm.
or outside
Yeah.
the clubhouse.
yeah, Mark's
So
got
they-
that, glass
Yeah,
enclosure
yeah.
on the outside. You can go there,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but once we send it out to all the association leagues with Timberland, they're on notice. Here it is, folks.
Well, hey, Jerry, what about, well, I mean, what about people who constantly abuse cart rules and who drive on fringes almost?
How about they
Oh.
drive on the, somebody last week drove right on the green.
Whoa,
Yep,
It falls under, this policy is covered. It
does.
It does, it
Mhm.
covers it.
Okay.
And again, this isn't an all-inclusive. It can say examples. This isn't all-inclusive.
Well, because we have groups who misuse these cart rules every
Mhm.
twice a week. A, no
Yeah.
one says anything to them, which I think is wrong. But
Mhm.
B, if you do approach them, they'll just tell you where to go. And it's as though they're the owners and you're disrupting them, and that's not right.
no,
well, Peter, I know I've called Jerry on, when I saw something like that happen, and he immediately addressed it with these individuals, that they were driving too close to the green. But you're right. I mean, how do you put some teeth into this thing when something like that happens?
Yeah, I think this is a first good start. Unfortunately, you have an incident right now where you have the opportunity to do it. And if anybody questions you, you have this. I mean, we did this in 2018 and we're revising it now, but I think it's something to stand on for now. And as you say, once the word gets out.
Without a ranger, it's very difficult to
Yeah.
do any of this stuff.
yep,
Because a ranger is he's not the pro, he's not the director of golf. He's out there doing one specific job, and that's to make sure that people are following the rules and behaving. Okay, that's not Mark's job. It's not Jerry's job to police the golf course. The only way that someone could get caught or would get ratted on with this conduct is if somebody outside of their group, because believe me, nobody in their group is going to fess up anything, because probably chances are they're all buddies playing with each other. So is another group that happens to see it once in a great while. With a ranger, someone could call a ranger over or whatever, impartial, done. Incident report handled. So, I mean, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the code of conduct until we have a ranger or someone that can enforce these policies.
But do you think, I think we should have a policy,
Have a policy.
yes.
We do have a policy.
right?
We have it right now. So we do have the policy.
Right.
Peter, could you put that on a scorecard?
No, that's
No.
too long.
I mean, everybody looks at the scorecard. I mean,
We could put something on a scorecard that says, Timberland does adhere to strict policies.
Right.
You can view the policy online at so and give a link for the policy or whatever. Yeah, sure, you could do something like that, but you can't print the whole policy.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have that changes. The violators may have a, financial, we're comfortable with an incident report detailing the occurrence will be completed by the head golf professional and delivered to the director of golf?
Yes,
Oh, that's what we do now.
Yeah,
Is there a specific form we should have? I mean, I usually just email.
well, I think that's fine. I think it says well, I'm just gonna say via email,
mm-hmm.
along with a hard copy. Is that necessary?
No.
That was Jonathan's, because nothing was happening, right? That was,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah, we'd fill out, Mark would take the time to fill out insert reports and they would sit in, they would get 86th in the round file. So,
I think the bottom line here, folks, is we need to let people know that we're not screwing around anymore,
Right.
you know? And I think once, like I said earlier, once people, you know, come to grips with that, or they realize that we're not, if we see somebody smash a divot box on a cart with a club and it gets reported, you're going to pay the $100.50.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that once or twice, I do think things will you know, hopefully come back into line. Unfortunately, Pete, you know, as you said, people are all over the place with these carts. It's insane. Now, we just did the area between 5 and 6. I left the area for maybe a half hour today. I'm going back out. Guy's waving me over. You know, guy, he plays there every day. I'm like, yes, sir. What's going on? What can I do for you? And he says, you're not going to believe this. He said, but I had it all roped off and everything. He says, a couple of guys hit their balls in there. They walk in, and they hit their balls from off the dirt. And he says, can you believe that? I said, oh yeah, I believe that. Even though you've got signage up, you know, please don't, you know, play from this area, and you've got it all roped off. People are going to do what they want to do. Now, if I was there and I saw it, now that'd be a different story. But, you know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult there to police, especially with the carts, because we all know that they go wherever the hell they want. Whether it's up on the collars, it's on the, and again, if you should never be on the collar, you should sure as hell never be on the green. But if you're in the surround, if you're in the rough, the tall grass, you know, beyond the collar, you got the handicap flag, I'm okay with that. But if you're up there only because you want to save 2 or 3 steps, I got a problem.
well,
I
we have that problem every Tuesday and Thursday, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
Just hang out at
I know.
13th, hang out on the 13th or 17th green and for
Yeah.
a couple hours and you'll see it.
I know. Well, maybe I will.
Atta boy.
You never know. Okay. So that's good. Code of conduct. That's good. We've got a little bit of refund. That's good.
I make a
What
motion
else?
with the, I've taken notes. I will, that we revise our current code of conduct with these few changes. And for
Second.
Jerry to take to town council.
Second. Jim Norton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hands. Dana, Joe Pulcini is not here to vote, so one abstention. Oh, wait, there he is. Joe, you wanna agree to that change of the policy? We just voted. Hold on, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
We're referring to the code of ethics.
Yes. Okay.
I'm in favor.
All in favor, unanimous, thank you. Okay. Okay, P&L looks good, huh?
Yeah, so far so good. The finance department now has the ability to log into and onto Golf Now. I'm going to be working with them. They just obtained that ability in the past day or so. So I did speak with Kevin Delaney, and we are going to be working closely, utilizing the Golf Now stats going forward, which makes Jerry very happy, because right now I'm flat out, and I wish I could devote more time to it. I devote as much as I can, but to have an extra set of eyes is a godsend. It's much appreciated. So we're looking to start that in the next week or so, working with finance. But looking at the numbers, yeah, and if you read Kevin's little dissertation at the bottom, we're in a good position. We're not, at least we're in the black.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the P&L? Okay, Jerry, we already did the donation request, and
Okay.
it was unanimous to not approve that,
Yep.
that request.
Are we gonna do a
Yeah.
P&L on a seasonal basis? Because we never finished one off for 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. If he hasn't, then I will follow up with him and make sure we do.
That's on a
We've got
calendar
to.
year, on a calendar year basis from January 1st to December 31st.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on the CIP stuff from anybody? Jerry, how much do we have left?
In CIP, right now, there's $14,821. I haven't added up the soil or all of the soil that was utilized in 5 and 6. So I would assume that number, because it did take into account Stonehedge's fee as well as some of the soil, and then we just received a bunch in the past couple of days. So I would think that number, when it's all said and done, is going to be closer to 9,000 to 10,000 right now in CIP.
So,
And as far
okay.
as
All right. So the 14 that we have now, Stonehenge has been paid anything?
they have, but I figured that in. I figured
Okay.
in their.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that's
good.
already backed out, as well as some of the soil. But again, they kept trucking it. So what I had in invoices up until that point totaled what it did. So right now, so as Jim would say, are there any encumbrances? Well, there is, but there isn't, and that I've already backed out Stonehenge's fee. So what you're seeing, the 14.8, I would still need to back out. Again, I get be close to $5,000 with the additional soil from Dunning Sand and Stone. So you'll be closer to 9 or 10 grand.
Okay, so not in bad shape considering we're not even halfway through the season. So that's pretty good. And we're getting a lot.
No,
of
I mean, I always like to, you like to leave a buffer in the event something does happen over the summer. We have a hurricane, tropical storm, or whatever. We need to bring in a tree company. So you always want to maintain a little bit of a buffer. You never want to drain it to zero.
Right.
At least I don't. And as far as the T-Sign account right now, you're showing a balance of $7,439.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, good. Move on. Jerry, report, please.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Jerry's report. It was right here. What did I do with it? Well, anyhow, I need it. Where's my report? Well, as you know, we finished the project between 5 and 6 today. It was hydroseeded, and now I'm just working on the irrigation around the area. There were a couple of bad heads. I'm fixing those, so it'll get watered. So I was very pleased with the way it came out. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from people that have seen it so far. So I think, again, I know, Pete, you saw it. I don't know if anybody else has seen it since they've seeded it and finished grading it, but from what I'm hearing from the golfing public, they like it a lot.
Yes.
They like it an awful lot. So I think it was money well spent. That area was just not good. It wasn't, that's being kind when I say it wasn't good, but so hopefully once the grass comes in the next 10 to 14 days, people will appreciate it even more, so long as I can keep them off of it, and that's not an easy thing to do. Okay. I did secure the Buffalo blower from Turf Products, or at least the paperwork has been completed. We haven't taken delivery yet, but I need to complete that by July 1, otherwise I lose the money. So in that equipment account, we're pretty much down to zero. And the way the equipment account works is I can't carry that money over into the following fiscal year. So it's either use it or lose it. So we used it, and we purchased the Buffalo blower, and that will be coming hopefully, sometime in the early part of June. We completed the aerification of the greens on Monday, Tuesday. They came out pretty well. Unfortunately, on day 2, it was a little bit warmer than day 1, and with the lack of rain over the past, week or so, and the dry and windy weather, although I do think they'll bounce back pretty quickly. We're continuing to, we'll wind up having to most likely go in and needle tine them and give them a light top dressing of sand, roll them, and hopefully within the next week or so, they should be back to where they were prior to aerification. We completed all the chemical apps in the rough areas, the pre-emergent, the post-emergent, as well as any insecticides. That's done. We are this week starting with, this is getting to be a very difficult time of year when it comes to chemical apps. We'll be putting out our first summer patch app on tees and greens and fairways, as well as our annual bluegrass weevil first app will be going out on greens. So we're going to be doing a lot of spraying in the next week or so. Going back to aerification, in addition to the greens, I did punch the number 1 senior tee. I punched 16 tee. I punched the new tee on 12, and I'm going to punch 7 and 4. And we are going to top dress and give them a light shot of granular fertilizer. And hopefully by opening them up this way, they will do much, much better this summer. Hopefully they'll fill in more quickly. They're pretty well sealed off, and so hopefully by opening them up and giving them the granular Apifert as well as the foliar, they'll respond, and our par 3 tee should be, hopefully, fingers crossed, better than they have been in the past. So we'll see. We get a lot of play, and we still need to do a lot of work on tees, making them larger based on the number of rounds we push through. So we're doing the best we can right now with what we've got, and we'll see. Okay, I'm all done with golf now. I'll be working, like I said, with finance with regards to golf now, and that's a good thing. And here's my thing. I am very much, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to establish my natural grass areas this fall. I've already developed a program for that. It's a 2 or 3 year process, but we start it in the fall. And the first step is to go in August and to spray the areas we want to establish. And what that does is it takes out all the undesirable grasses. So it's going to look a lot worse before it looks a lot better. And then after that, we go in, we slice seed, we give it some fertilizer, and by later on this fall, you should see some germination of the grass, or quite a bit of germination. But again, you'll go in next spring and give it another shot of the fertilizer. And what this does, it does a couple of things. Number one, it reduces the amount of maintenance in those areas. In my opinion, we're cutting way too much grass right now, and that equates to manpower and fuel and wear and tear on the equipment. If we can get it down where we can cut the rough on the golf course in, let's just say 6 to 8 hours a day, as opposed to 2 or 3 days, that takes that person to freeze them up so that they can go do something else. And that's important. We don't have a big crew, and every I'm just reading something here. Every minute we have to utilize as best we can. So if we can, cut down on the time we use in mowing the rough, it's a good thing. It's less, like I said, it saves on fuel, and it's win-win. Now, the other thing which I like, and Avon has gone, I think they've dumped close to $1 million in establishing their native areas this year. It looks really good. It truly does change the complexion of the golf course. Right now, you've got a hodgepodge of everything out there. You got a lot of white pine. You've got stuff all over the place. You really need to clean up, open up, and convert those areas that are truly, truly not in play. Or if you are over there, you're not so penalized where you can't hit a shot out of it. So I think it's going to really change the way Timberland looks. If people are going to want to come play it because of the changes that they're seeing. So again, this is something that we've started, and that I've developed the program. I've identified the areas. I know how many acres I want to convert, at least initially. We're going to do a trial area in the first half of August, spraying it and seeing what the actual grass looks like once it's sprayed, or how much undesirable grass is going to be taken out. And then we're going to, I guess, go in overseed and establish these areas this fall. City water on the course is open, the bathrooms are open, and just the day-to-day maintenance, changing cups, greens, and irrigation, which is an ongoing nightmare over there. So that's it in a nutshell. Anybody got any questions?
Sebi has a question.
Yeah, hey, Jerry, received a lot of great compliments from people that I've played with, and people that I don't know that I've played with from out of town, and they like the changes on 12. A lot of great compliments on number 12.
Mhm.
The way it looks, and the way great improvement there. The other thing, Jerry, is there any plans like you did on 5 and 6 to do number 2 on the left side going
Oh,
up that fairway?
absolutely. Absolutely, Seb. You still want to throw good money after bad, and depending on where we wind up with CIP at the close of this year, the plan is to go in there and remove a substantial number of trees. You do want to maintain the integrity of the hole. You want to maintain that dog leg or slight dog leg left, but you still got way too many trees in there. Way too many trees. You've got trees up against the stone wall that have no business being there. And right now, it would be next to impossible to establish any decent grass in there. So to answer your question, yes, that's our next step as far as soil and establishing a grass area is going to be that 2 area. But first step is to remove more trees out of that area before we do that. Once we do that, and then the process will continue like the 5-6 area.
Yeah, in that area too, you got a lot of rock. You could be off 7 feet off the fairway, and it's all bare and it's all rock there. And
Absolutely.
the way we play it, everybody's got to play it there, right? It's not like ground under repair, or you can move it over to the rough. You got to play it. And some of the guys that I played with saying, I got my club. I'm putting a nick in my club. No.
There is a local rule, Stebby, just so you know, there's a local rule that anything left of the fairway on 2, you can move a club length and place it.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that for the tournament.
Yeah, but
It was marked as
what
ground
Seb
under
is
repair. There was a white line out there. Maybe it's gone now.
Well, that was for cart. That was so
For
for
carts.
cart paths when it's
Oh, I
wet.
thought that was ground under. We played it as ground under repair.
DQ.
Oh, all right.
So-
We're gonna play it as ground under repair this weekend.
No.
So
What, Sebi?
That's going to be quite a bit of money to do that area. You're going to require a lot of fill, a lot of tree work, like I said. But you got to do it, and you got to do it right. You can't half-ass it. You can't go in there now and just start dumping soil and throwing grass seed down and say, well, I hope it grows. The irrigation line, the main line on that hole runs up the left-hand side. And I'm sure you've seen the valve boxes there. Right now, the roots from the trees are growing into the valve boxes. So, it is what it is for now. We need to fix it. And unfortunately, the monies are depleted at this point. We did what we did on 5-6. But the next step, like I said, is to go to the 2 area. And it's going to be quite a bill. But when it gets done and that hole gets done, and when I say that hole, because my vision for the tee itself, especially, well, not especially, because sometimes we do put the whites up on the upper deck there, that whole area, which is now dirt, again, we need to take more trees out of there on that hill. And then what I really, really wanted to do, in my wildest dreams, was to build a nice stone wall run parallel with that upper deck, and then backfill, do some nice plantings of azalea rhododendron, and really dress that tee up. And then the hole, in my opinion, the hole will be complete. There's still a lot of work to do on the right side, but there's still a lot of trees left of the tee on 2 that need to go away, and a lot of people are probably going to fight me. But if you want a good tee I'm sorry, folks, they need to go away. They need to go away. And at some point, you just need to close your eyes and start cutting. You do. Because you're not doing that tee any favors, culturally speaking. You're harming it. I mean, look at 11. Again, I think, you know, it used to be one of the worst greens on the course because they had all the white pine to the south of 11 green. No, I said to John, John, they got to go away. We cut them down. And next thing you know, well, 11 is probably one of the better greens on the course. I mean, it's not, you know, the best green, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was when you had the white pine to the south. And, you know, you had all that winter damage from the shade that the white pines cast from the over the winter months. So, you know, it's baby steps. It is. There is a lot of work to be done. I can go on and on and on, but I won't because Pete doesn't want me to. So, but no, they're you know, and I'm just going to say this, and then I'll get off my soapbox and I'll shut up. And then when you come up 18, as you get up on, let's just call it the 16 hill on the right-hand side there, all that crap's got to get cut down. You know, it's garbage. And how nice would that look if that hill were exposed and you had the fescue blowing in the wind on that hill? And then even coming back, you got a pine just off the right-hand bunker, which has infiltrated the bunker. That's got to go away. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to go away, you know? And when it does, you're really going to see a difference in the course. You really are. And I think it's all good, but it takes time and it takes money. We don't have a lot of either one. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's baby steps. We'll get there.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'm done.
Hold on, Sebby,
yeah.
hold on. Sebby,
okay.
there's
Yeah.
other people too now. Jim Norton,
right.
please.
I have just a couple of very quick questions. Jerry, what's the status of the backhoe?
Okay, Jim has placed the initial order for the hydraulic pump, the hoses, the belts. He got approved initially for the initial order of $8,000. So we're moving forward. He's doing a great job. He's done everything he can do at this time, and Roche signed off on it. And I know for a fact he's ordered that initial blast of parts. And I would think in the next week or 10 days, we're going to get going on rebuilding the backhoe.
Jim, where's the extra money? I'm sorry, Jerry, where's the extra money? Because we were allocated 25 grand and we only spent.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to see how much he does expend. I think, and I don't want to put words in, I think he was thinking around 12 to 15 grand to complete the repairs.
Yep.
So, you know, once we get to that point, and if there is a difference, and let's just hope that there is, because that is part of the golf course. You know, we, the golf course, opened up the PO for Jim and Jim's handling the purchase of the parts. But we, the golf course, opened up the PO to purchase the parts. So he'll just be, you know, picking off that PO. And that'll be a conversation we'll need to have with Kevin as we get to that point. He nears completion of the backhoe and whatever monies are left and how they, what they want to do with them or how they're going to account for them.
It's our money. I mean, it was allocated.
It's been allocated to the golf course. That's correct.
Hopefully, you know, hopefully we get to spend that on other capital items, right? Jim, you had another question?
I got two other questions very quick. Jerry, the tee on 12 came out, you know, it came out fantastic. It really did. My question to you is, I mean, that thing's in the sun. There's no more trees around here. Is that going to bake and dry out?
What's that?
Is there plan to put any sort of tree there, any sort of shade at any point in time, or no?
On 12?
The 12th tee. The new tee.
In order to shade that tee, you'd have to put it next to the pond. That's the south side. There's no room.
Yeah. Okay.
And you wouldn't want to do that anyhow, because then you're going to wind up like a situation like you currently have on 11 tee with the white pine, where the roots are on the tee. They're really on the tee, and those white pine got to go away.
Well,
so to answer
Jerry,
your question,
no pine, anything, you know, deciduous tree. I mean, and
yeah, but here's the beauty, Jim. Now that we've taken that out, now we can go get one nice specimen, deciduous, not an evergreen, deciduous tree, and put it there. Now it becomes the focal point.
Well, you know what,
now you look down, and now you look down and you say, hey, but you place it accordingly so that You know it's going to mature. You know it's fit. You know it's mature size. It's not going to infringe on the tee. It's not going to overhang the tee. It's not going to overhang the fairway. You place it accordingly. Now you got something.
Well, I'm looking 20, 30 years down the road, and this is going to tie into what the Lady Niners do when they purchase a tree. And that's, you know, you can kind of develop into that something long-term, Nancy, for you and the Lady Niners that want the tree in their name. It's not overgrown where the, you know, you have a plaque and the next thing you know, it's you can't even see it anymore.
Right.
But
Right.
my last question to you is the 17th, the lower, are we ever going to use that lower tee for whites?
Oh, actually, I punched that tee too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You know, the lower one, the one that no one ever uses.
Yeah. No, I punched that yesterday because that was getting kind of sealed off as well. Yeah, I would love to on a dry day. Yeah, I mean, Mark threw the tees down there for the CSGA event, and I would love to use that tee. Nothing would make me happier because that was a lot of money and work, and it just sits there. I guess you could take the whites and you could put them up in front, and they'd still, you know, Jim, you'd certainly get it to the fairway. But yeah, absolutely. The problem with the lower tee is, I don't want to say you built the boat in the basement, but you kind of built the boat in the basement in that you have a nice tee, you got a nice look, you can utilize white and blue down there. How do you get there? Safely. That hill is pretty steep, especially in the morning when there's some dew on it. Even I travel it quite often. I take it slow. You get a guy coming down that hill and he cuts that wheel sharp, he's going A over T. So I guess the thing to do would be to develop, and I'd be happy to go out there with Mark. We can look at the area, develop a way to get them down there safely through, you know, a cart path, which we're not going to pave right now because we couldn't even begin to afford that. But if we could get, you know, some crushed stone or something better looking than the millings, I would love to start using that tee. Absolutely. Because the plan in that area, Jim, in that hollow, in that if you're standing on that 17 tee looking towards 14 green, that whole area becomes native. That all becomes natural grass. It truly isn't in play. Even on 14, there's no way if you're that far left. I've never seen anybody that far left. So that needs to be converted. And how nice would that be coming through that little swale there with the, you know, the grass and, you know, and seeing the fairway and right-hand bunker off in the distance. It would look really, really nice. Really nice. So, yeah, I would love to start using it. I really would. Nothing would make me happier. We just got to get them there safely. That's the only thing. We got to get them there safely.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, I have a question. All these courses around us are getting back to normal now. I know we have we're pretty lenient on carts, but I'm starting to see some carts in the cart barn that need work.
Yep.
And I mean, can we end the single cart deal and no more than 2 carts per foursome?
Mark and I spoke about it briefly. And right now, I mean, I'd like to talk with Mark some more. You know, we did talk about it. We did. We were of the opinion that we weren't ready at this point. And I'll say, you know, if you want to blame me. But I think it's something, if Mark, I know would welcome the conversation. And I don't think we had a whole lot of sales in that category. And Mark can speak better, but what I'm seeing when I look at golf, I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity in that category.
Well,
So,
I don't think we're really doing anything with single rider carts. So, but that's beside the point. I mean, there's so many carts on the golf course, and you know, regardless of forget about the single rider fee and all that stuff. But
right,
you know, it's time now. It's time. I mean, and who do you see on these single rider carts mostly? It's the older golfer who's been vaccinated months ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's start
Yeah,
doubling
oh,
up
yeah.
and
Well, I mean, Pete, we all know and we can all see the damage from the carts over the past, let's just say couple of years or whatever. I mean, we do a lot of carts. We do a lot of carts. And, you know, once they see dirt, they kind of keep going towards the dirt, and the dirt keeps getting longer and longer and longer and more expensive. So I understand what you're saying. And I will, Mark and I will get together. We'll have a conversation, and I get it. You know, we want to get 2 per as opposed to 4, just because of the wear and tear on the golf course. Absolutely.
well, especially when
we
it's
could
wet.
see-
Especially when the
especially when
course
it's
is wet.
But even still, you could see coming off the 1 tee, coming off a lot of these tees, whether it's 1, whether it's 8, whether it's 11, it doesn't matter, whether it's 12 at this point, you could see, look at 15 now, how that's starting to migrate. You could see what's happening. So, yeah, I mean, it's something Mark and I will talk about, and I don't see why we wouldn't, just go back to the old ways. That's it,
And you're pulling slowly but surely, you're pulling the rings off of the flag sticks, I see, that's fine.
We took the back off today because we mowed them for the first time this afternoon. So I had the kids, I said, just while you're going out, because one blows and one mows, I said, just pull the lifters off, and we'll take them off the front tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Okay. And you're storing them, I hope.
Yeah, we put them in the dumpster. Yeah.
Good. That's good. Oh, smart.
Pete, I have a question.
Oh no. I don't.
Go
We never
ahead,
use those again.
Nancy.
They worked out well. They worked out really well.
I have a question for you, Jerry, or just a suggestion. Back to the senior men. In a perfect world, they will agree to have tea times, but if they don't, another option might be that somebody, every single time they play, like all of their days, their league days, somebody writes down as they play all the different groups. So at least you're going to have a record of who plays, and you're going to be sure that all of those tea times are filled. That's just a suggestion.
Is there
Okay.
ever a time? Is there ever a tea time in the morning that doesn't get filled by a senior? I doubt. I mean, I don't think so, Nancy.
No, but well, they were when they had that big block of time. They had
A lot of
space.
empties. A lot of
Yeah, because a lot of them wanted to play late. So
Yeah.
I was told that there were empty blocks. But this way you could also see if people are playing both Monday and Tuesday.
Sebby?
Yeah, hey, Jerry, you're taking those pins out, the lifters out. Are you gonna put the pins in that have the cup? So you pick up if the people want the pin in, the ball will come out with the pin?
No, I don't think so, Seb. And the reason being, when we did that, the edges were getting damaged. Very, very quickly. There were many times where we got a phone call, you got to go out to 5, somebody damaged the edge of the cup because they weren't really careful putting it back in. So if they missed the hole and it hit the lip or the edge, whatever you want, it damaged it. We had to cut quite a few new cups because of the damage that they caused. When they're just putting the ferrule back into the hole, and that's not to say that they don't miss that too, but it's much less than when we had those cups on the bottom and they missed and then they took a chunk out of the edge of the cup.
Wow.
Got it. The other thing too, one last question. You indicated the city water is on the course. Is there any chance that we can get any of those fountains going so that people could wet their towels?
Yeah, well, Pete sent me an email today, and I did reach out to CSGA. I didn't have time to go to their website. I got to be honest with you. What I read last, and again, this is going back a couple of weeks, drinking fountains were still a big no-no because you're saying, yeah, we're going to use them to wet our towels, but then you got Joe Smith, and he takes a sip out of it, and then, so I did reach out to CSGA. I did leave them a voicemail. I will go to their website and see what the status is, but it's my understanding that as of right now, and I could be wrong, drinking fountains are still a big no-no.
Jerry, you know what I
Yeah.
mean by the J faucet,
Yeah.
right? It's an upside
Yeah.
down J. I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, if somebody's going to drink out of that, there's no way they're going to touch it. But more importantly, is if it's high enough, people can fill water bottles.
Mhm.
I mean,
No, I understand.
Manchester's got all their faucets open. They're because they have fountains on the golf course, and I played there on
Mhm.
Sunday. They're all open, so I mean, but they are a semi-private.
Yeah.
You know, they're not necessarily municipal course, but I'm seeing more and more of that. But if I don't care about a drinking fountain, as long as we can fill water bottles or wet towels with an upside down
Yeah.
J, as long as it's tall enough. That would
Yeah,
make
I
a lot of
understand.
people happy.
Jerry,
Yep. I don't know if there's a way to put a T in there, Pete, and have one side with the J. And if somebody does, this is in the future, if somebody just wanted to get a drink of water, they could just go to the bubbler and depress the button and get a drink if they
Yeah.
don't have a container to put water in. I don't think there's a way to tee off of that stem and have
Right.
both, you know?
Yep, no.
That would be nice. That
Yeah,
would be
for
nice.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Jerry, at our Lady Niners meeting, you mentioned about putting ropes up in front of the tee. Are you planning to do that soon?
Yeah, I just haven't had a whole lot of time this past week or so. I just haven't. But yeah, we need to start directing them off the paths well before the end of the path, and we need to keep moving it. So yes, we need to do that, and hopefully that kind of alleviates some of the wear and tear that's going on at the ends of the path. We did do, or I did do a granular app. It wasn't an experiment. I kind of knew it was going to happen, but I did a granular app of fertilizer way back in, I want to say towards the end of March, in front of the number 5 tee, that large grass area. And you could see the difference in that area compared to the surrounding areas. So next year's budget, I do know I allocated more money in the chemical account. My hope is to purchase granular type fertilizer, even if it's not the best, but something to get out there in those areas and at least give the grass something to make it a little bit stronger, a little more healthy, a little more resilient to the cart traffic that we do have at Timberland. So but that won't come until after July 1. So, and that wouldn't go out until the fall. That would be a fall application, or even late fall or early winter for the spring. So we're working, we're trying different things. We're right now trying to get rid of a lot of old chemicals, like some of the granular fertilizer that's been sitting around, and we've really cleaned house quite a bit, and I think going forward we're going to be in a very good place. I hope so, anyhow.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
All right, we can move on to Mark.
Oh, can I say one more thing? One more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
One more thing. Okay, so Saturday I go in to do the repair on 17, and it was after 9 when I was leaving. I said, well, let me just take a ride up to the clubhouse, make sure everything is okay. So I go up there, and I see, that'll be at least a half a dozen guys sitting on the patio outside on the south side, on the practice green side. And apparently they're having a few beers, but Ramsey was closed. And I said, okay, so I go into the lower lot, I turn around, and then I come back up, and there's one of the gentlemen, relieving himself next to the planter in that corner over there. And I'm like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to have a conversation with our chief, and he's been very good to us and the police department as well. And I'm going to see if there's a way we could start, locking the gate like the old days, because it's not so much that concerns me, although that does concern me, because I don't know their mental status, if they've had a few pops and if they're feeling good and they get behind the wheel. But I don't want Timberland to become a hangout. Let's go to Timberland. Let's hang out in the lower lot. Let's hang out in the park. Let's hang out. I don't want that. That doesn't work for me. So I'm going to have a talk with the chief and see if there's a way we can work something out where we can start locking the gate at night. My biggest fear is that somebody comes in, and people have come in, into the course at night, whether it's with a motorcycle or a car or a UTV, and they take a joyride. And you go across a green and you tear up a green, well, that's $100,000 bill, folks. So that's my biggest concern. And I'm not saying that by locking the gate, it's going to prevent everybody from coming in. I would hope it would prevent the majority of people from coming in and doing potential damage to the course, as well as, you know, the carts being up at the in the cart corral, even though they're chained or wired or cabled and locked. You know, things happen. Cart goes missing, well, that's a $7,000 bill. So, you know, I just want to have a talk with the chief, and maybe we can work together and come up with a solution to getting that gate locked at night. Again, I just don't want that to become a hangout for people during or at any time, or especially this summer. So that's all I have to say.
How come they do? I assume they do lock it. They don't lock it at all?
No, they haven't locked the gate in a long time. They
Since
haven't.
it's been
No.
painted.
Oh, I agree with
If there was a
you.
fire, how would they get in? If the fire department had to get in, how would they get in there?
They all have a
Same with
key,
the police
Jim.
department.
I would imagine
They
the
have a
fire
key.
department would have to have a key. I mean,
They all have a key.
They
Yeah,
all
we
have
all
them
have a
now.
key.
Okay. And police do
Yeah,
too?
they have a key.
I would hope.
I just don't want to see anybody getting hurt. I don't want to see any damage done to the course. I don't want to see anything, you know, taken. I don't want to invite them to break into the pro shop, into the restaurant. Right now, you know, let me tell you something. When it's dark up there, it's dark, you know, and there ain't nobody around. I mean, you can go up there and do whatever the hell you want, and no one would ever know. So it's it needs to be addressed, and let's see what we can do and come to a resolution and move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
All right. I'll go through this pretty quickly. If you have any questions, let me know. I just provided some quick revenue statistics for this year versus the last. And it's through the middle of May. You can see that we're quite a bit up in season pass sales, and then slightly up in green fee and cart revenue. So that's a very good thing considering we started about a month later than we did last year. So we've done more rounds, and you know, the course has been in great condition all spring. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And now that it's warming up, I think it's just going to intensify. So that's a good thing. During spring school vacation, we hosted a week-long junior clinic and had 36 participants in total. This is definitely a record number for us. In the past, we'd be lucky to get 20.
Mark, we lost you.
Two, we're marketing a little bit better.
Okay, we got you.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking.
Can you
up a
hear
little
me?
bit. Yeah, we got you.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, you are. You're breaking up a little.
You're freezing.
Are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, you're from Mark. You're just freezing.
Can you hear me now?
Nope. All of a sudden, you were good before.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, it says my internet's unstable. Okay, so the women in wine clinics, those have been huge this year. We used to do about 15 to 20 every Monday. We'd have 15 to 20 ladies, and it got so big we had to split into 2 sessions. So we've had 60 plus women every Monday, most of which are beginners. But these are really good numbers that I'm pretty shocked at. They've been hanging out at Ramsey's afterwards and eating dinner. So it's been a very good thing to get new players on property. And I mean, our hopes is that we can maybe do an intermediate clinic, and then eventually some of these ladies will play in the 9-hole leagues or begin to start playing the game more. So we've got a great audience there that we've really never had. So we're just going to do everything we can to keep it enjoyable for them and keep them coming back. Online starting times became available in April, and we haven't discounted at all. And we seem to be getting the tee sheet booked each day, which is great. The leagues have all started their season, and Wednesdays, we have about 8 leagues on Wednesdays, and I'd say we probably have 15 in total throughout Monday through Friday. And this is a big revenue stream for us. So it's important to have leagues. I'd say the only downside to having all these leagues is that season pass holders really can't get out until about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Both sides are closed from, we'll just say 3:30 to 5:30 each day. But I guess it's a good problem to have. And the league players tend to go to the restaurant after and support Remzi as well, which is great. Continue to update the website as necessary. And the golf shop is fully stocked at this point. So this year we brought back the mixed 9 and dine, and we kind of made it a league. So there's 9 dates instead of just 1 a month. We have 9 dates throughout the year, and we just had 42, so 21 teams at our last one. So that was pretty much maxed out. Just another program we're running that seems to be pretty successful. So, I mean, anytime we seem to run a program, we usually get a pretty good turnout. So that is a good thing. People want to be at Timberland, which is great. We successfully hosted the Pro-Am and the Connecticut Amateur Qualifier. And the feedback was that the golf course is in great condition. People that have played there before said it was firmer than they've ever played it. And that makes for nice long drives and fun conditions. But overall, these are some elite players and giving us the respect that we are a championship golf course and we hold up amongst pretty much all of them in Connecticut. So just a lot of good things going on this spring. We hosted the Berlin baseball outing. We had 121 players, and that was successful. So outings are back, and that's a pretty large revenue driver for the year. So most of the concerns with the amount of people you can have are gone. So at this point, we'll be hosting, I'd say we probably have 10 outings over 100 players throughout the season.
Mhm.
Am I still on here?
Yep.
All right. I'm stable now. If you look at our reviews on Golf Advisor, they're for the most part 5-star each time. And, you know, occasionally we get a poor review, but that's going to happen. We just got to accept it and try and learn from it. But overall, we continue to get great feedback throughout, you know, the season and our customers. And I know that we also encourage people to go on there and review us because we know how important that is. The staff this year, I'm very pleased. There's great energy up at the golf course, and you know the staff has been very personable in handling the busyness of the course, and they continue to be friendly. So that's always most important to me, and I'm just happy to have them on board. And just looking ahead, we're going to start advertising our summer junior programs. We're going to have PGA Junior League. We already have 62 juniors signed up, ages 8 to 17 for Junior League, which is huge. I think the only other bigger Junior League is at Lyman Orchards, but they obviously have a bigger facility than we do. But we still attract lots of juniors. So that's going to be a great program. Many of you see the high school team up there. The boys, I think they're ranked 3rd in Division II, and the girls are ranked 1st. So junior golf is very strong in the town right now. And, you know, that's just attributed to these feeder programs like Junior League that we host throughout the summer. And once they get old enough to play in high school, they usually do quite well. Does anybody have any questions for me? Anyone?
Gail, go ahead, Gail.
Just next time around, maybe just an update on the work that Deirdre has done for the course. You don't have to do it now.
Well, she did give us an update.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's up to me to present, but I can certainly do so. Let let me pull it up here.
Because I got it too, Mark. So whenever you want to do it, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up real quick because she did send us a report.
Yeah, very impressive.
Maybe you could just send it out with the minutes.
Yeah, I have it right here. I mean, she pretty much gave us so Instagram, she's up 167 followers since March. Facebook, she's got 185 follows compared to March. She just took some of our averages, like some of our events, like the Women in Wine. We used to average 10 to 15. Now we're averaging 65.
Yeah.
Junior League, we had 36 last year. This year we have 62. The mixed 9 and dines that she promoted, we used to have 20. Now we average 36. In terms of the newsletter, she says that we have a 97% delivery, 28% of the delivered opened. She's got some statistics here that I'll send over based on how many dollars we were attributed to some of the campaigns she ran. And
Is she sending a newsletter out too, or is that the newsletter that you send out?
She's the one that sends out that newsletter that's the first of every month.
Oh,
that has like, I know Jerry's got a section in there. It's got like a resident
Okay.
spotlight. Just word of mouth throughout the course. I mean, I've heard that there's just a nice buzz going around the course of all the things that we're doing. Anybody that's on social media can see that every day she posts something. And I mean, I just run the programs like, you know, the Women in Wine clinics, the Junior League, the Mixed 9 and Dine. I mean, I create these programs and run them, but she's doing a lot of the marketing, and the numbers are through the roof with the amount of people that are doing them. And I have to think it has a lot to do with that. So I think it's been pretty successful, and I don't know how everybody else feels what they see, but I'm sure that they have their own opinions. I don't know how Jerry feels about it. I don't know.
Jerry likes it very much. You know, looking at these statistics, at least, you know, we can quantify and just in the, like I said, it just, the numbers kind of blow me away in that, you know, I don't want to repeat what Mark said, but I'm going to, you know, when you last year averaged 10 to 15, this year you're 65 plus, you know, that's pretty darn impressive. And it's not just that one event, there's others as well. So I'm very, very pleased. You know, 28% opened on the newsletter when the average is 21%. That's good. Looking Facebook, Instagram, how the numbers have increased steadily since the beginning of March. So I think she's doing a very good job. She's certainly on top of things. You know, Mark does his thing, I do my thing. Eric Lunt is a physical therapist. He's got a little video on there talking about how to get yourself in shape for the golf season and the golf swing and so forth and so on. So, yeah, she's doing a very good job, and at least we're looking at the numbers and they're going in a good direction. And I'm very pleased. I think Mark, I don't want to speak for you, but you know, we've talked about it, and I think we're happy with where we are right now for what we're paying. You know, we don't have $100,000 advertising budget.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sebi, can you keep it brief?
Yeah. I just wanted to thank Mark for what he's doing up there, because I was up there on Wednesday night, and a couple people came up to me and said, "Boy, this place is hopping up here, up at Timberland. The place was packed, and a lot of them were kids that Brendan was doing some lessons or doing some instructions with a bunch of kids, and you know, people are noticing that, and they're pretty impressed with it."
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to add something, just kind of close off with something. I think we've created a little bit of a monster here that it's true. Sebi's right. Every afternoon that place is packed. And I mean, we just don't have an adequate facility for all we're doing. We don't have a Stanley Golf Course or a Lyman Orchards. We don't have a practice range like that. We don't have a restaurant like both of them do, and just the spacing in general. I think it's becoming a problem, because eventually some people are going to be turned off because there's nowhere to go. We got 6 hitting stations. We got clinics of 30 kids, 2 putting greens. I mean, Jerry had to close the putting green up top because of the amount of stress. I mean, the amount of wear and tear on that thing from just getting use. That's just, it's a good problem, but I think it's becoming a problem that we just don't have an adequate facility for what we're doing up there. And I don't know really what to do about it. I hate to turn people away, or make our program smaller, but it's, you know, with the high school team up there and the amount of junior clinics and the women in wine and just all these things, I mean, it's too busy up there. So just want to add that in.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Okay. Listen, this marketing thing too is, Remzi's benefiting quite a bit from the marketing because she's doing everything. So, and I remember that last year Remzi says, "Hey, can we put an ad in for you and stuff?" Well, I think we're doing a pretty good job of helping him as well. He's doing a great job this year, and the help that he has this year is outstanding. That being said, personally, you know, I mean, I live up there, you know that. I have never seen this golf course. I have never seen this golf course this way ever. And it's absolutely unbelievable. And my hat's off to the team of Mark and Jerry, because for finally there's a team, and the team is working very well together, and it's just a joy to be up there. It is a joy to be up there. So thank you, you guys.
Can I just interject one last thing there, Peter?
Yep.
And here's, you know, Mark and I agree, and we all agree. You know, folks, we don't know where things are going, and that's fine. And the town's doing what it should be doing. Absolutely, they're doing a good job. We do have another meeting scheduled beginning of June.
June
It's all
3rd.
good.
June 3rd.
Yeah. I don't know. I assume you all got the email, so we're going to be meeting at the high school, and that's great. The town's doing absolutely what they should be doing. With that being said, I think we as a commission need to just not sit back on our laurels, and we need to plan. As Mark said, you know, the facility is showing its age. It showed its age, and we should really start thinking about the future. Whether we're there or there's a management company, whatever. But again, if we are there, we really need to start looking at, for example, the tent. You know, putting that up this year was a nightmare. Securing it, it's starting to dry rot. Do we? And I don't want to. And I've had this conversation with Mr. Green. You know, do we want to invest another at that point $15,000 to $20,000 in a skin for a tent? I don't think so. I don't want to. But do we want to consider a pavilion? But these are all things we need to start talking about, so that, you know, in the event we do need a skin, or we get to that point, and, you know, let's assume we get another year out of that tent, but at least we have a plan that we could bring to the town and say, look, these are your options. We could put a skin on, it's going to cost you 20. We could build the pavilion, it's going to cost you 25, but it's going to generate this. You know, the downstairs, I took a walk through the downstairs today, the women's locker room, the common area. These are, and even the carpeting in the pro shop. And Mark has ideas about rearranging the pro shop and making it maybe more not that it's not user-friendly, but maybe making it more user-friendly, maybe moving the counter. So these are all things we need to discuss and start picking away at, because there are certain things that can be done this winter. We can put a fresh coat of paint on the common area upstairs and down. We can put a fresh coat of paint on the in the women's locker room. We could put a new floor in, or we should be able to put a new floor in the women's locker room. There's still indoor outdoor carpeting there from 1970. It's not good. So I think, again, we should start not having formal, but having conversations about what our plans are going forward for inside as well as outside. Now, right now, facilities is painting the pipe railings. they're putting a fresh coat of black on it. Okay, they're also painting the spindles on the railing going around the top. Okay, that's good. But, you know, we need to start talking about, as Mark said, the facility. We're going to get to a point where we can only do so much. And unless we're going to move forward, then it is pretty much what it is, people. And we've done the best we can. But I think that place has got so much potential. I know it has so much potential. And I think if we come together and we have a really good, strong plan going forward, I do believe the town will listen to us and will take us seriously and hopefully implement some of our suggestions. I do. I really do. The town is very vested into that property. They're not going to turn their back on us. They're not. I think now, especially if we do, and I hope we do. I hope we finish in the black this year. I think they're going to take us even more seriously. So I understand they're doing what they're doing, and they have to, as they should. But I do think we should continue to work and develop a plan in the next year, 2 years, 5 years for the facility, the clubhouse itself. And then that's I'm going to leave it at that, you know, and hopefully we can.
Thank you, Jerry. Savvy?
Yeah, one final question. Hey, Jerry, driving up to the near the clubhouse, there's a couple potholes in the road. Is that the highway department that's got to fix that?
Yeah, they're going to be there hopefully tomorrow, Seb. I called them and they patched. That's their response. They patched that. I actually put a dash around them to show them. So yeah, he says they weren't doing it today. They might be doing it tomorrow, Friday, and they'll come up and patch them. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Gail?
Should
you're
we
muted.
be emailing agenda items to Jerry for next? Is that the process?
No, everything goes through me, remember?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then yeah, so if you
Thank
have
you.
anything to say for Jerry or whatever, yeah, no problem. I'll get them to him. Anything else? Yes, Jim? Nothing?
Let's do adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Second? Joel, seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All right, everybody. Great
Thank you,
meeting.
everybody.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye now.
Have a good Memorial Day.
Everybody have a nice weekend.
Yep, you too.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Thank you.